friends and I were waiting at a bus stop after a long day of hiking at a very popular national park. Picture a typical bus stop next to a curb with covered seating for people waiting. We were the only ones at the stop when we first got there and sat down on one of the benches. A few minutes later, another hiking group showed up and stood in front of us closer to the curb. We didn't think anything of it. Obviously, they have the right to stand wherever they want. However, after a few minutes, more people began showing up and started forming a line behind this group that stood in front of us. The line began following the curbside, down to the left of where we were standing. Having used bus services many times in the past, people don't typically form a line along the curb, but all kind of congregate around where the doors are going to open. Also, this specific bus had two doors on each end of the bus, so which door were they lining up to get on? This bus service turned out to be very slow, so we waited about 45 minutes, and by the time the bus arrived, there were 50 to 75 people standing in the made-up line along the curb. However, when the bus pulled up, the back door lined up to the start of this line, and there was another door to the front that nobody was at. So we walked to those doors, got on, and sat down. There ended up not being enough room for everyone on the bus, and some people had to wait for the next bus. This is where it got weird. One of the gentlemen who had been waiting in that line confronted us and basically berated us for skipping the line and having the audacity to take up seats on the bus while his group had to stand. I tried explaining that we were the first group waiting at the bus stop, but just because they all chose to stand in a line by the curb doesn't mean we were obligated to follow that. He continued scoffing at us and said something rude as we were getting off, and it made me wonder, were we wrong?